What's up, guys? Welcome to another Jetracks Session. My name is Joey Ebach. I am a songwriter, producer, and co-founder of Jetracks.com. I hope you guys are having an awesome week. Today on our Jetracks Session, I wanted to put to bed 3 myths about top lining. Now, as someone who has created a ton of top lining tracks and top lines myself, I hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. I hear it all. And so I wanted to go over some of these myths that I hear because I hear things floating around that just isn't true. And so we're going to go over 3 of them today, 3 of the probably the most popular ones I hear. And the first one is that pro writers don't top line. Now, I hear this one probably the most, and it's just not true. I would say probably 65% of the pro writes I go into, either me or another track guy in the room, the first thing we do is we lay down a beat. They'll create a drum track or a drum track with a guitar in it or something like that for us to write to the rest of the session. Now, why do they do that? They do that because they know their chances of getting a good song are going to skyrocket if there is a good feel or vibe in the room. It just makes for better songwriting. Songwriters are very emotional, we want to feel it, that sort of thing. So I would say 65% of the writes I go into with pro writers, we lay down a beat first. In the same vein, if I'm writing with pro writers, a lot of times if they know I do top lining tracks, one of the first questions they'll ask me is, hey, do you have any top lining tracks that we can use for our session? Because they know that the feel matters and the emotion in the room matters. Even my brother, Justin, who is massive songwriter, he says 90% of the time he lays down a beat before he starts. Well, friends, that is top lining. That's what top lining is. So the idea that pro writers don't top line it's just not true. And Rylan brought up a good point the other day. Really, songwriting is essentially a form of top lining. In most of your writes, I know in mine I do, the first thing we do is we lay down a chord progression and then we put our melody and lyrics on top of it. So that's really a form of top lining. You're laying down a bed of chords and then you're adding your own melody and you're adding your own lyrics. That's top lining. With Jetracks tracks, essentially what you're doing is, as Rylan puts it, you have a chord progression on steroids. And so you have this beautiful track that's already got a feel, it's already got emotion built into it, and then you add your lyrics and melody and you top line on top of it. So myth number 1, pros don't top line. That is not true. Myth number 2, publishers want a custom track rather than a top lining track because custom tracks are better than top lining tracks. All right, let me be honest with you. At the end of the day, publishers don't care that much about the track. They're not interested in signing your track, getting your track cut. What they're interested in is your song. And that part's on you. You have to create the good song. What your track does is it delivers your song in the best possible way. So it gives your song an awesome presentation. If it's a fresh, cool, vibey track, it's going to catch their attention right off the bat. They're going to turn it on, they're going to start listening and be like, yeah, I like this. And then they're going to be more likely to listen to your song. So publishers don't care if it's a top lining track or a custom track. They care about your song. I've pitched top lining tracks and I've pitched custom tracks. And you know what? The publisher doesn't know the difference between the two. The publisher is not interested in the track, they're interested in the song. If you get a song cut by Keith Urban, right? That's a huge cut. Let's say you get a cut with Keith Urban. Keith Urban is not going to use the track. He's going to have his producer produce his own track for that song. But what he wants is your song. And the way to get it into those types of hands is to have a good track, because these days sending a work tape, we all know it just kind of falls flat. Everybody wants a demo. I have never pitched a song to a publisher and they say to me, this is a top lining track, it's not a custom track, so I'm not interested in your song. The reason being is, number 1, they don't know it's a top lining track, but number 2, they don't care about the track, they care about the song, and the song is on you. And so if you find a top lining track that you like, that in itself is not going to get you through the door. What you need is a great song. And the top lining track presents it in the best way. But publishers don't care if it's a custom track or a top lining track because they're not going to use the track. So myth number 2, publishers want custom tracks versus top lining tracks is just not true. Now, here's the third myth that I hear. Using top lining tracks is lazy and stingy. Now hear me out on this. I believe that songwriting is partly having a ton of talent, right? But I think the other part of it is a numbers game. I think that's why we write 150, 200 songs, because we have to get those songs out, and we know the more that we write, the better chance we have at getting one of those songs cut. All right. So let's say that you have $500 every month to spend on demoing songs, right? So $500 a month may or may not get you one demo of a song. If you're lucky, maybe two, like acoustic demo kind of thing, maybe $250 each, something like that. All right, so you can choose the one song that's your best song out of the entire month, and then demo that one and get it out there pitching, right? Well, with the same $500, you can get a basic license, a songwriting pitching license for about 12 tracks, and then you can write songs to them, and then you're walking away that month and you have 12 demos rather than one. To say that that's lazy or stingy, I think one person's working harder because they're writing 12 songs and they're walking away with 12 demos. Who has a better chance of getting a cut? I think the one who has 12 songs out there. If I've made any headway in songwriting, I would say the main reason probably is because I have demos for 65% of my songs. I demo like crazy. And you know, I know they're not all good songs, but you never know what somebody might want to cut. And so I demo just a ton of songs. And I think that's helped to have all those tracks out there, just like doing stuff, you know? And so to have 12 demos that you can get out of to have 12 demos that you can have to pitch every month seems like a better thing to me. That doesn't seem lazy or stingy. That seems smart to me. And to be honest with you, that's one of the reasons I started doing top lining tracks in the first place. Is I can demo my own stuff, but I had all these writers, and I'm thinking to myself, they write probably 20, 25 songs a month, something like that, and they have to choose the best one or two songs of that month to go out and demo. I would go out of my mind if I had to just pick the one or two songs, because I think if I wouldn't leave the writing room if I didn't think it was a great song, or at least a good song, a really good song. I think all of them, I want them all to be good. And so I want demos for those songs. And I saw these songwriters who have to pick and choose what they do. And then I had some people contact me. This was before I actually started making them available as a store. But I had people contact me, ask me if I had extra tracks laying around that they could use to write songs. And that's really how this thing came about. So I don't think it's lazy or stingy. I think it's just a smart way of songwriting. Yes, it makes songwriting easier, but it doesn't take away your need to have skill as a songwriter. Like I said before, the publisher is not interested in the track, they're interested in your song. And that part's on you. You have to write a great song. So in my opinion, walking away every month with 12 demos or something like that is better than just being able to demo one or two and taking your chances on that one song. So myth number 3, top lining is lazy and stingy. I do not agree at all. I think that top lining is a very smart way to write. I do it myself, and I do a lot of top lining tracks, and I love this whole subject. I think it's awesome. So anyways, thank you so much for joining us on this Jetracks session. I hope this has helped you. I hope it dispelled these 3 myths about top lining and encourages you to do more top lining. We got a lot of exciting things coming up with Jetracks.com. If you haven't been on there lately, we have a bunch of new producers on there creating tracks, which I just love to see, because hearing what these producers are creating is amazing. Getting songs back from songwriters who have written to the tracks. We're getting news of people getting traction with their tracks on sync placements and getting them taken by publishers. This is all great news, and this is all Ryland and I's vision for Ryland and I's vision for Jetracks.com, is that it would be a place where things are happening, and it is. And so we're just excited to see it grow. We're glad you're here with us. Spread the word, tell your friends, tell your other co-writers and all that kind of stuff about Jetracks.com. And thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next week.